going today, guys? This is Mike. What I got for you today is my little sack here for, it's just a little pack for food procurement. It attaches to my backpack by a couple carabiners. One lets it move around too much and it kind of aggravates me. I don't like that. It makes too much noise, plus it's just kind of aggravating. So I put two on there. You hook them up to a couple of your webs or your little Alice straps. It goes good. But it also, you just makes it quick and easy. You just pop it off. You put this right on your belt loop if you want. Also, usually when I stop and I'm going to use this, or anytime I leave my main bag, because I'm not going to run around and look for wild edibles and whatnot with my backpack on there. So I usually have one of those little nylon zip, little pull backpacks there that you can fold up into the little ball, just a little pack. You can throw this right in there, or you can put it on your belt loop. But I'll start with the first pocket. This isn't all inclusive for my trapping and fishing needs. I do keep a little wet sack, stuff sack with rat traps in it, and other things. But this is the one that I just take if I'm going to be around for a couple days. A lot of times it's going to take a couple days to get anything. Sometimes you get something overnight, but obviously it depends on how much you put out. But anyway, I'll start with this bottom zipper here. I got a couple mouse traps. They do have a little, trot line, bank line type cordage on here for tying around a little tree limb or whatnot. Because sometimes you'll get incidental catches that'll be bigger than, like you can get a squirrel in this. It does kill the squirrel, but it usually moves the trap 10 feet or so. So you don't want to lose your trap, obviously. You don't want to kill animals for no reason. So with a rat trap, I don't usually tie them down. But with a mouse trap, I will tie those down. Obviously you could eat mice. I'm not big on that. But you can also use mice for bait for bigger catches. And for, the fur trade. So basically that's why I got these two in here. You can use the innards for fishing, bait, anything like that. Any animal that you catch is going to be good in a survival situation, obviously. I do bring a little roll of trail tape. I don't really use it for trail tape. Usually I'm pretty good at knowing where I went to a certain extent. But the problem is, you start putting out 20 plus traps, it's hard to remember where you put every trap, especially on that first run where you go through the first time. It might be dusk when you do it. It might not look the same when you come back. You might make a loop and come back. You might not remember exactly where everything is, and obviously, once again, you don't want to have something dead in your trap and just rot there for no reason. You want to utilize everything you kill. At the same time, if you're going to use that for food, which is the reason why you're procuring that animal, you want to know where they're all at. So I usually just close by, depending on where I'm at. If I'm where someone else is going to be, I kind of get a little tricky with it and put it across the trail, make them think maybe it's a deer trail, somebody was scouting out or something. But I put it close enough where I remember where to go from that point, just as a little reminder. And then next, I have a bunch of snares made up. They're about 2 foot long. One end is just fastened tightly, securely. These are for making squirrel poles, if you've ever made squirrel poles. The other end, let me see if I can find one. The other end is a noose. I'm having some issues here looking, but basically right here's one. This other one isn't steadfast like the other one, like the other side, the other end of this would be. The other side's going to be your anchor. This is going to be your noose, and it's already in there. So you just make it the size of your squirrel pole that you need. They get in there and just zip down. I know some people like to use thicker gauge stuff. I'm kind of going after a squirrel, maybe a chipmunk, something like that. You can catch other things. Some people won't eat those, but you can catch weasels, you can catch pine marten, and none of those are going to get out of this. But anyway, some people worry about catching something larger in their snares. And you can also put these down for rabbits, and they're 2 foot long, big enough to anchor it on a limb overhanging a trail. You can catch rabbits that way. But anything bigger, obviously you want to start getting your gauge, your diameter a little bigger. So some people just opt for using larger diameter in the first place. But the only problem I see with that, they use like a lot larger diameter, like picture wire, frame wire. And the only problem is with that, once you get a small animal that only weighs a couple ounces, and he's coming through there, if he feels too much tension, he's going to back out, and you're going to not get anything. He's going to go around it and eat your bait. But you put something nice and thin like this, he's already got it locked around his neck before he realizes he's in something. That's why I opt for using the thinner gauge wire. And I got about 2 dozen of those. About 2 dozen. When you make a squirrel pole, you usually put 2 up on each, possibly 3. So you're looking at, a dozen traps. That's not a lot of traps, but it's a start. But if you do start putting down some rabbit traps and things like that, you're looking at, I'm sure you're not going to do all of them for rabbit, but you're looking at 15 or so traps out, and that's a pretty good amount. And then I got a yo-yo reel here. I'm sure most people have seen them by now. This portion here, you tie your cordage to, and you tie it to a limb close to the water, isn't close to the bank, but up a little bit like this. It comes down, you pull it out, you set it in one of these notches. You've got notches right here on the reel itself. It's got a coil inside that packs it, and then once it pops loose, it comes up and basically catches your fish. You can also make your own with snares. You can make fish snares a lot of the same way, just a sapling beside a river, beside a water. You put your line out into the water, and then you have your snare set up like a normal spring snare, and it does the same thing. It sets the hook. That's what you got to have. This does the same thing. It sets the hook. Anything that's just nice and easy. Sometimes you will catch you put a trot line out, you're going to catch some fish on that, but if you could actually set the hook, you got a better chance of keeping it on that hook until you get there. So that's just a couple things I got in there. I'll go to the back pocket. Here I just got a match case, and in this match case, which has a gasket, keep the water tight, but in here, stuffed in there pretty good actually. I got a bunch of fish and stuff. Obviously I got hooks of different gauges, different gauge hooks. I have a beetle spin in there. I love a beetle spin. And there's just a couple odds and ends for fishing. Maybe a jigging type hook that has a little bit of a lure color on the hook itself, and it's already weighted. But and then I got these little trout bobbers. So these are nice. It fits in here pretty good. It's nice and small, but being styrofoam, it's going to float for you. And then, like everything, I just pack something in the top. And the top of this is char cloth. It's actually cattail fluff char, and then just a little dryer linen there to keep that from falling around. It's a little fire starter, a little tinder in there, a little something. I just have a little cheap multi-tool. You never know when you're making a snare if you got to cut a wire. It does have the wire cutters on it. Plus it has a small knife if you did have to, you know, debone something. You can use that while you're away from camp and your other things, your other items. And then I got a coil of 50-pound braided line. It's braided. Obviously it can be used for thread, anything you want to do. It can be used for cordage, 50-pound test. That's nice, static. But it's thin enough diameter, and it's not really going to bother a smaller fish. Doesn't weigh a lot. Then I got some bank line or trot line, whatever you want to call it. This is tar coated. Nice. This is used for snares. If you want to make snares for larger animals, you know, you got a nice, and it does break down into 2 or 3, actually 3 different smaller lines if you needed to use it for something different. But that's in there. So you got a lot of, and you can also obviously use it for a trot line. Hook up some of these nice hooks I got on here. You could even put leaders on there if you wanted to with this. Make you a nice trot line across the stream. Or just if you happen to find something that floats like a log or a jug, a discarded jug or water bottle, you could tie that on there with an anchor weight leader to the bottom. Throw that out there into a lake or a stream, and it doesn't really move on you, but you still have your hooks in the water. So there's a lot of options with this. And then this is actually, I better pull this one out first. It's just a little thing I made here. It's just fishing. You got your hook. You can actually, when you cast it, you can go this way, and it does spool off. Not as well as it should. There's a little too much friction there, but I didn't want to go totally vertical, horizontal with these, parallel, and then just have my rope, my fishing line slide off all the time. But I could meander it down a little more. But anyway, it does, or like any, obviously a hand fishing setup isn't new to anyone. You can just pull your line that you want to fish out, cast out that way also. But I got that. Obviously with your traps and your snares, you're out there catching food while you're not there. That's what the whole setup's for. You can be back at camp getting your firewood. You can get your fire started. You can get your everything you have to do at camp with your shelter building and everything. It is out there catching something for you, or at least has the opportunity to do that. This hand fishing, I'm going to be sitting there, wasting time. Basically, this is more of a probably just testing the waters to see if there is a little something in the water before I set up a trout line or something like that. I'm just kind of testing things. But if I do second day, third day, got a little extra time, you can also go fishing. There's nothing wrong with that. A little psychological boost, give you a little something there. And this is my it's in here because sometimes you're going to be away from camp. Let's say you got lost, stranded. You still have something to make a fire with. This is my fire starting kit. But basically, I have just a cheap little tool here, but it's nice and compact. It's got a nice assortment of little things on there. You got that for your fishing line if you needed it. Obviously, I just use my teeth or my knife, but you do have a small blade on here. Back here, you do have a small blade. I would probably use my blade off of this more so for cutting an animal, but you have that. You have a file in here which has a nice 90 on there. You can use that. But it's nice to have a blade of some sort in there. Cattail, everybody knows what cattail does for fire starting. You're looking at char material also. You can make char material out of this. You don't have to cut your shirt a little bit or your pant leg, your jean. This works well for a char material. And then I got my just a little Altoids thing in here, but this is cattail fluff char material. Has a lot of surface area, a lot of air in it. It will take a spark very well. Just to show you, I'll take a little piece out. I don't know why I'm doing this right now, but anyway, I'll take this, just hit it. So you see cattail fluff really nice fat ember comes out of there. And then at the same time, your compact fluff is in here. This fluff right here, from these two, would probably fill this whole tin. I know it would. And there's another one in here. But this also works for bird nest material, to put that in too. It ignites pretty well also. I got a little bit of the old, staple of Vaseline and cotton balls here. I don't know however many of you have been out in the woods and tried to start a fire, especially without this lighter. But even with the lighter, after it's rained or while it is raining and you don't have, let's say it's super humid, sometimes it's hard to get a fire started, especially the larger, even pencil-sized sticks, tinder. You just can't get them to go. This is a lifesaver. I'm telling you, it's worth having. It really is. Sometimes you can get a flame all you want, but if it doesn't stay on fire long enough to heat up those sticks, you're done. So this is a lifesaver, I'm telling you. And then just a little, I use my lighter first, but a little backup. You never know. I've had lighters that lasted one day where the spring broke or the flint broke and shot out or whatnot. Not even just out of butane, but just breaking on you. So this gives me a second way when I'm out away from my main pack. So that's pretty much it. I just wanted to show you that. Sorry I got a little off track showing you cattail fluff and whatnot, but that is my food procurement. If you have any issues with my ideas, or this is tested too. I have tested this a couple times and it works pretty good. But if you do have thoughts or any suggestions for me, anything like that, comment. Let me know. I would love to know your ideas. If you think I'm outrageous and I don't know what the hell I'm talking about, whatever, just let me know. Okay, thank you.